Since the franchise began in 2016, the games of Overwatch and Overwatch 2 have had a wide variety of characters on its roster, whether it be for tank class, damage class or support class. Because there are so many classes, it gives you a good wide variety of characters to play as. But the question is, which ones are my favourites to play? So in today's top 10 list, I'll be counting down my personal top 10 Overwatch characters. Now, I should state three bits of criteria about this list. First off, this is based on what the characters are like to play as, not necessarily the personalities of the character. So a good example would be the character of Tracer. Like, Tracer is a likeable character, but won't be on this list. And yes. Secondly, this is based on classes which are my favourite to play, not necessarily which are the best to play. Because I do admit there is one or two classes in Overwatch which are really good, but I probably don't have a good enough skill level to use effectively. Yes. So I just want to make that point. And the third thing is, I never played the original Overwatch. I've only played Overwatch 2. So one or two changes which they made in Overwatch 2 compared with the original, I might not be entirely aware of properly. So I just wanted to make those three things clear before I start this list. Since there are so many classes in Overwatch 2, I thought for once it would be good to do a Honourable Mentions section. Zenyatta. Decent healer with a powerful attack. Sombra. The Overwatch equivalent of Spy, can be fun to play as. Soldier 76. Pretty decent soldier with a pretty good ultimate. Echo. Flight based character with fairly strong attacks. Bastion. Little slow but can be tank like assault class. Number 10. Junker Queen. Now, I'm not going to lie, there is actually a couple of characters that were introduced in Overwatch 2 that will be on this list. And the first one is the tank Junker Queen. So Junker Queen was introduced at the relaunch, I'd say relaunch, at the launch of Overwatch 2. And she does have a few abilities which I kind of like. So her main attack is that she has a shotgun. Her secondary abilities include a throwing knife, an axe which she calls Carnage, and also a shift ability in which you can grant yourself and allies around you a health boost and a temporary speed boost. When it comes to the allies, the speed boost and the health boost, they don't last as long as what you do. I believe when you activate it, it's about 5 or 6 seconds. When it comes to the throwing knife, so the throwing knife has the ability where you can cause damage to opponents by throwing the knife. You can also use it to pull enemies back towards you. And the knife can also do damage to opponents when the knife is being summoned back towards you. Obviously, the axe is an axe, so you're going to use that, swing that, and it will cause some damage. The range, I don't think it's as good as it used to be, but yeah. And actually, on that note, if this list was made when Overwatch 2 first came out, then Junker Queen would be a little bit higher up the list, but obviously a couple of changes, tweaks, and nerfs to certain characters have meant that Junker Queen's position has dropped a little bit on the list. But I still find it fun to play as Junker Queen. She's not my most reliable tank, I'm not going to lie. But I do find it fun to play as Junker Queen now and again. So that's why she's number 10 on this list. Also, to add a little bit of added context to the character, I forgot to talk about the actual ult. So her ultimate is Rampage. So when she activates Rampage, she'll say time for the reckoning. Then she'll swing around her axe, known as Carnage, into a spiral, and then she'll charge forward. The ultimate in question will do a lot of poison damage, and will charge the character forward. So yes, I just wanted to add that as well. Number 9, Mercy. So admittedly, this one is actually the most recent addition to my top 10. That's plainly because I was actually playing a Mercy a little bit, but it's only when in Season 3 that I was actually starting to get proper grips of how the character actually should be played. So the way Mercy is, overall I do find that she's probably my most consistent healer to use. The reason I say that is because with Mercy, you could either play it in in a couple of different playstyles. You can either just go all healer, you can go a mixture of healer and gun, or you can try and be one of those people which does a lot of damage using Mercy, which is an interesting choice. So Mercy's main abilities is that she has a healing ray from her staff, or you can switch to damage using the right click of the mouse. Well, I say switch, you hold it. Mercy can also fly to certain targets, whether it be people which need people you want to heal, or you can fly to life orbs which are dropped from fallen characters, and then you can resurrect them. So yeah, this is probably one of the biggest things about Mercy is the resurrection ability. She's the only character that can bring back characters from the grave, and that can prove decisive in games where you need to protect certain objectives, which in fairness is most of them with payload and attack and defense. Yeah, so when it comes down to Mercy, she's a relatively fun healer to use. I think most of the time I play as Mercy. I play as Mercy just in case I don't feel confident enough maybe to go on a damage spree. So I feel like Mercy is a good option. Her ultimate, by the way, is Valkyrie. So her ultimate is Valkyrie, which means you can basically heal or give damage increase to multiple targets while flying in the air. And yes, there is one combo which I do find slightly annoying, and I'm not going to lie about Mercy, and that's when someone's using a Pharah. So basically, Mercy can just fly with Pharah, and that can actually be quite annoying. So yes, a little bit frustrating that, but I still find Mercy is a fun character to use. Number 8, Reinhardt. So this is another one of the original characters that was brought in, I believe, in the original launch of Overwatch. And for me, he's probably still the best defense tank there is. So Reinhardt's main features is that he features a shield, which at the time of recording this video has 1250 health. But obviously that could change in the future with maybe patches or things like that. He has the ability to fire projectiles. Well, I'm not sure if you could call it projectiles, but he has the ability to fire stuff from his... I'm gonna say staff. Yeah, he has the ability to fire 2 at once if they're fully charged, and also he has the ability of charging. The charge ability in particular can be quite useful for getting rid of certain characters. So say like you've got a tank which is a problem, or you've got someone which needs to be moved away from the objective, maybe to win. The charge ability can be quite useful. And also in some respects, people can actually use the charge ability to actually move people physically off the map. Because the map Olympus in particular, you can actually use the charge ability to nudge people off the side when you get just over the forward spawn point. So yeah, and also there's the staff itself, which can be used as a weapon. And then you've got Reinhardt's ultimate, which is Earth Shatter. So Earth Shatter, when you activate it, Reinhardt will hit his hammer into the ground. He will freeze enemies within a certain radius, and then you can deal damage, or you could charge. So then you could deal damage to the opponents while they're down on the ground. But for me, I still think that the main use for Reinhardt is when it is regarding payload missions. Payload or escort missions. Because with Reinhardt's shield, you can protect your teammates so they can move the objective without getting hits themselves. So basically, when I play as Reinhardt, most of the time I use his shield to try and protect teammates so they can deal damage while I'm protecting them. Number 7, Kiriko, or as she likes to be said, Kiko. So this is another one of the new characters that was introduced in Overwatch 2, and for a while she was actually one of my favourite characters outright to use. So with Kiriko, she has the healing ability of kind of like scrolls, well, more, I'm not sure if you could call them scrolls, but there's some kind of seals that she can fire to heal teammates. Kiriko also has the ability to teleport to allies, so she can heal them a bit closer. The damage, the quick step I believe it's called. However, the quick step is not as effective as it used to be because Kiriko did get some nerfs in I think Season 3. Kiriko also has a secondary ability, also has the ability to fire darts, I guess you could call them darts, like spear-based darts, to try and do damage to opponents. And the other healing she can do is fire a, I think it's an orb, like a magic orb, which removes negative effects on enemies. So say you have a Zenyatta, which is put on as a orb of negativity or something like that, or if you've got a Ana which has got poison, then Kiriko can heal them using the orb. For me personally, Kiriko actually has one of my favourite ultimates to use, the Kitsune. So Kitsune basically allows you to gain, I believe it's a 30% speed increase for your attacks and movement, which that can actually prove quite decisive in certain matches. And also, however, now we get to the reason why Kiriko is lower down the list. I'd say back in the day, I would have said that Kiriko was probably in my top 3. However, due to recent changes, I'd say Kiriko has definitely dropped. The other problem I have with Kiriko is that sometimes I'm not going to lie, I get overly confident. So I have a habit of trying to do a mixture of healing and also firing darts. This can work, but most of the time, I'll be honest, it doesn't go well. So, yeah, that's the problem with Kiriko, is that sometimes I do get a bit overconfident using her. But yeah, she's still a fun character to play. And I will say, earlier in the video I said that this list was going to be based on how the character feels to play. However, I will say outside of that, if we're talking about favourite characters like personality-wise, she's probably one of my favourites as well. Partly because of the way she sounds in-game, the design of some of the costumes, especially the mythic one they introduced in Season 3, and also in fairness the video, that's the animation that was made for her debut was really good too. So that's why, that's why I find Kiriko is a fun character to play with. Pretty good healer, the ultimate can be pretty good, and yeah, just a fun character to play as. Number 6, Ramattra. I believe that's how you pronounce the name, I could be wrong. So Ramattra is the second tank on this list, and also the third new class that was introduced in Overwatch 2. And for me, to be honest, originally I wasn't a big fan of this one, but the more I played with this character, the more I started to really enjoy how it plays, and also just using it in general. So Ramattra is a tank that is kind of, origin story wise, is kind of in the same kind of ballpark as Zenyatta, I believe, because they're kind of like like a machine type society. At least I believe that's how it works. So the character itself, he has projectiles from a staff based from a orb staff. I can't remember the actual name of the weapon. His secondary attack, however, is much more lethal, that being the close-up punches. So you activate shift, you gain 200 extra health, and then you become basically a punching machine. It also has the ability of protection because it does have a projectable shield which you can put on the map. So it's a bit like Sigma's map. No, sorry, Sigma's shield. So like you can put it down in a temporary location. The only difference between this and Sigma is that it will only last for a certain amount of time. The final ability that Ramattra has is that it has the ability to fire kind of an orb which will deal slowness damage and poison. I believe that's right. So that can be quite useful when dealing with ultimates. And while we're on the subject of ultimates, Reinhardt, so his ultimate is basically the punching ability, but with a draining draining radius. So you activate the ultimate, you get the increased health just like with the punching damage, but you can drain opponent's health as well, which can be quite useful in certain matches. So yes, Reinhardt is a pretty fun tank to play. He's the newest member on this list, as in like the youngest. Because I should mention I'm recording this during Season 4, so at the time of recording this video, he's the youngest class I've played. I haven't played Life Weaver yet, but yeah. I really like enjoying this tank, and who knows, this tank could go up further in the list in the future. Number 5, Symmetra. So admittedly, when it comes down to damage classes, I don't tend to actually have, well, too many on this list. But there is one or two which I do really enjoy playing, and the first one is Symmetra. So Symmetra is basically one of the classes which is a tiny bit like an engineer, where you can put out sentries, where you can put out teleports, and in certain aspects you can put up shields. There is another class actually like that in Torborg, something like that. I can't pronounce his name right. But yeah, there is a bit of a difference though. It's because with Symmetra you have the ability to place different sentries in different locations, whether it be on roofs or in faraway locations. Well, with Torborg you can't do that. So you can place up to 3 at one time. They can be quite handy sometimes, although some of the times they are destroyed fairly easily because they don't have much health. Then you've also got the teleport ability, which can help. Most of the time I use the teleport, in fairness. I don't really use it for getting away from enemies. I actually use it for getting to the objective quicker, or to get to locations where I need to get rid of people, such as a Mercy. Sorry, not a Mercy, such as a Widowmaker. Because I know for a fact, if I don't deal with them, they're going to be a big problem. Mercy, so I don't know why I'm saying Mercy so much now. Symmetra, when it comes to Symmetra's main weapon, she has a laser beam weapon. But if you were to hold right click, then you can fire a kind of a light orb type of thing. So it's basically a build-up attack, and then you fire it in one shot. When it comes down to Symmetra's ultimate, I referred to the shield earlier. This is Symmetra's ultimate, where you can lay down basically a map-wide shield, which can be useful when protecting certain items. Items as in like payload or attack and defense can be useful for protecting your base. So yeah, when it comes down to Symmetra, she used to be a more personal favourite character of mine, admittedly. But I don't know why, but recently I've just found that I don't tend to play her as much. I still find it fun playing as Symmetra, but I don't know, just not as fun as it used to be. Number 4, D.Va. Also arguably known as the face of Overwatch. So when it comes to the original release of Overwatch, there is a couple of characters which we think of as like the face of the brand, those being Tracer and probably D.Va. So the reason D.Va is on this list is not because of that, it's because I just find it fun to play as D.Va. Yes, I know it's a little bit of a cop-out to say that D.Va is one of my favourites, but she is. So when it comes down to D.Va, her main abilities is that she's got a unlimited amount of bullets from her 2 cannons. Then she also has a missile ability, which can recharge and do a decent amount of damage if aimed correctly. Then she has a barrier shield, which can be deployed using the right click. And then she has a flight ability, which I believe is a 6 to 7 second recharge, something like that. But for me, the best thing about D.Va, well, I was going to say the best thing, is the ultimate. So D.Va has basically the ability where she can fly the mech or eject from the mech when she's about to be damaged. So basically your ultimate is the mech will self-destruct. which can be useful. It can be useful in multiple ways. If you're about to be ejected from the mech due to damage, you can press it and then it will initiate self-destruct, or you can fly your mech or just eject from the mech to do self-destruct. In some aspects, it can get a good amount of people, although I will admit recently, for some reason, I've been struggling with getting the ultimate right. Not sure why, I just seem to be struggling lately. But yes, so D.Va is, at the moment, she's probably the main tank I use. I'd say she's my favourite tank to use. Main tank might be Ramattra at the moment, but at the moment I still think D.Va is my favourite tank. But you never know, that could change in the future. Number 3, Reaper. So this one, I'm not going to lie, this one could annoy a couple people by putting Reaper so high up the list, but let me explain my reasons. So Reaper has a couple of features which I actually quite like. It kind of suits my playstyle. So Reaper's main attack is the double barrel shotguns, which do a serious amount of damage if you're close up to an opponent, which can be quite useful to get rid of tanks. And yeah, I like the ability. Second, so Reaper has an ability to move in shadows. The opponents will still see you, but it means they can't target you for about, I think it's about 3 seconds. So it can also help you move around quicker and pick up items, which can help with healing. The other thing that Reaper can do is he can teleport. So having the ability to teleport, that can help you with objectives. It can also help with the ultimate, which I'll get to in a minute. And it can also help you get rid of some problematic targets, such as Widowmakers and things like that. But arguably, Reaper's crown jewel, or Diamond of the Wrath, or something like that, or okay, arguably the best thing about Reaper is his ultimate. Now a lot of people don't like Reaper's ultimate when they're playing up against him, but yeah, Reaper's ultimate is probably one of the best in the game. If I was to make a top 10 list based on ultimates, Reaper's would definitely be up the top. So Reaper's ultimate is called Death Blossom, and when he activates it, he basically fires a cloud of shotgun shells all around him. So he basically constantly fires his guns all around. This in combination with the teleport ability can make it a really powerful ultimate to use. Yeah, so that combination of using either teleport or shadow, then activating the ultimate, it can get you into areas quickly and without damage. So that's why it's a very lethal ultimate. This ultimate definitely can win games as well. Like you're at the end of a map, people are holding around the payload or escort, you activate the ultimate, and quite a few of the times the team that does that ends up winning. So yes, but it's not just the ultimate. I do like the overall package of Reaper, and in fairness, he's got some of the best costume designs as well, to be honest. So yes, I find Reaper is a pretty neat character, and this is actually the main, when it comes to assault classes, this is the main one I use. Number 2, Moira. So I'm going to put a little bit of a proviso on this because it was a really tough decision. I'm not going to lie. It was a really tough decision to decide which one of these two was my favourite. But at the time of recording this video, I'm going to have to go with Moira as second place. So when it comes down to Moira, she has a main ability of a healing orb, or, well, she has the ability to throw either a healing orb or a draining orb. The healing orb can be useful, obviously, for teammates, like in large batches, or for yourself if you're low on health and don't have recharge. And the negativity orb can be used for the opposite effect. Her primary attack is that she has the ability to drain essence from people, or she can heal using like a healing type spray or something like that. Basically, each hand has a different ability. The left hand is healing, the right hand is draining. Her other ability is the dash option. So you can't dash too far, but it does allow you to travel a short amount of distance quickly, or you can use it to just loop around an enemy without being hit. So, and also the other thing is, compared to Reaper, they do see you less. So that is another thing too. When it comes down to Moira's ultimate, Coalescence, so this is basically the healing orb / negativity orb, but in a essence, like a stream. So you activate Coalescence, and then you can either drain health from enemies, or you can rapidly heal allies. So that can be definitely a useful ability. Moira's speed is also pretty decent as well in Coalescence. Not as much as it used to be, because at the time of recording this video in Season 4, they recently changed it so her speed is down, but you can actually shift while using Coalescence, while before you wasn't able to. So if someone's attacking you, you can use shift and then reactivate Coalescence with the timer still going. So that's an interesting little change to Coalescence. But yeah, we'll see how Moira does in the future. But like I said, it was a tough decision to decide who was number 1 and who was number 2. But at the time of recording this video, I've had to go with Moira as second. Number 1, Brigitte. So like I said in the Moira entry, this was a tough decision. I kept going back and forward on it. But at the time of recording this video, I have to go with Brigitte as number 1. So Brigitte, she has a bit more versatility, I do believe, than Moira. So her main attack is that she has a staff which she can swing around at enemies. She also has a shield bash option, which is not only useful for getting around the map, it's also useful for protecting Brigitte for a short amount of time, and also dealing damage to opponents. Her secondary ability is that she can throw her staff. Yeah, she can like whip her staff at enemies at a distance, so she can deal damage to them, which is quite handy. And her main healing ability is that she can throw healing orbs at allies. Now, one of the interesting changes that they made to Brigitte, this is probably actually the biggest change of Season 4 so far, is her ultimate. So her ultimate has always been Rally, but in Season 4 of Overwatch 2, it sounds like they added the ability... Well, sorry, not sound like, I know. They added the ability that when you activate Rally, her speed goes up by 30%, which I believe is slower than she used to be, but her shield is now much bigger. So her shield increases by, I think, triple its width, and also it can deal stun damage to opponents. Which, looking at the comments from the Overwatch community, is a little bit back to what it used to be like for Overwatch, as in the original one, where Brigitte could do stun damage with her shield. That hasn't been in Overwatch 2. However, it does look like now they have added that for the ultimate, with the ability of the triple shield and the shield bash stunning people. But the reason Brigitte is number 1 on this list is not because of the recent changes. It's because during Season 3, I kept playing as Brigitte so often, and I just found consistency. A lot of consistency, arguably more than any other character. Yes, I do have the Kiriko problem where sometimes I do attack more than I should, which I do admit is a bit of a problem, but that's on me, not with the character. But I find out of all of the characters, apart from maybe Reaper, I find that Brigitte for me is the most consistent character I get, the most consistent character I use to getting a decent amount out of the character. So yes, I really enjoy playing as Brigitte. Is it likely to change with Moira or any of the other characters on this list in the future? Possibly, because you could always have a change where like you have a lack of form and other characters get changes, because they do changes now and again. I believe Sombras do some kind of change during Season 4 or Season 5, something like that. A rework of some type, so that could make that character more interesting. But yeah, Brigitte, for me, is my favourite character to play in Overwatch at the time of recording this video. And I will probably continue to use Brigitte for quite a long time more.